topic for discussion is CENVAT credit rules. In India, before going for this GST, we had a lot of taxation system with respect to indirect taxes. So we had what is called as MANVAT, that is manufacturing value added tax, which was first introduced only for the levy of tax on the manufacturing sector. Then that has been extended to many other sectors, and that MANVAT has been modified value added tax. So from MODVAT we have been changing ourselves by including many other services or commodities other than manufacturing, and we coined the term called as MODVAT, that is modified value added tax. Then in the year 2002 there was some changes in the MODVAT and CENVAT was introduced. So the meaning of CENVAT is central value added tax. So for our discussion we will take the CENVAT credit rules as per year 2002. Now when we talk about CENVAT, we have to know what is called as capital goods, exempted goods and final products. So in order to get a credit for the VAT paid on the goods manufactured, we have to have a category of what is called as a capital good and what are the list of exempted goods and on the final products or the inputs what we get as an output. So this rule is called as CENVAT rule 2. This has a list of eligible items. So when we want to get a credit for the tax we have paid by the manufacturer in the process of his manufacturing, we call it as CENVAT, and in order to get a credit or for that we have to have a distinction. Now what are the duties eligible for CENVAT? As I told you, a manufacturer, one who is indulging in any manufacturing activity, that is or he can even be called as a producer, and he is allowed to take a credit for the duties he has paid in the course of his manufacturing activity. So for example, A is a manufacturer, he has indulged in manufacturing of a commodity and he has paid 100 rupees as a tax in the process of manufacturing. He has the right to take back the tax which has been given as a form of a credit, that is called as CENVAT. Now as I told you, there were a lot of schemes which were introduced. So from MANVAT, that is manufacturing value added tax, then we moved on to modified value added tax. Now we have what is called a CENVAT tax, and even this has been replaced, which we will be seeing in the future slides. This system of a CENVAT allows a manufacturer to take a credit. So I told you he has a right to take back the credit. What credit here refers to the amount of tax, that is excise duty or the service tax he has paid during the course of the manufacturing activity. Now when he procures raw material, then he will have some tax to be paid for the raw material. Same way when he buys a machinery, that is a capital goods, or for the services rendered. So for all these things he can get a set off against his excise duty or the service tax liability. That is why we go for a CENVAT credit. Now as far as the CENVAT credit is concerned, when it comes to output, we have what is called as excisable goods. So excisable goods is having a tax called as excise duty. When it talks about a services provided or services rendered, then we have service tax. Now we have what is called a GST. In case of purchasing of raw material or capital goods, so in case of capital goods we have excise duty, and in case of input it is excise duty, and in case of input services then it is called a service tax. Now here what is taken as a set of the difference, that is the value added. So I told you, in the process, the amount of value added to the commodity. I am buying a commodity for 100 rupees. I am making a value addition of 50 rupees. So that value addition of 50 rupees, that we have to take into consideration. So only value addition is taxed as a set off given for the taxes paid during the procurement. And it is only for the goods and services to be exported and not for the taxes. So it's very, very important, which we have to have it in our mind. Then regarding the SENVAT, I told you. So you have a concept called as VAT, that is value added tax. So this is nothing but any value added we make to a commodity that is exclusively taxable. That is called as value addition tax. So this value addition means the value of output, the difference is reduced by the value of bought out input. So 100 minus 150, that 50. So in a pure value, what we call as is any taxes which has been paid or being bought on inputs, they are to be allowed. That is, allowing that is called a set off, and it is against a tax paid on the output. So any tax we pay on the output can be deducted with the difference of the value added with the tax of the output. That is with the each stage of taxation. Now SENVAT, I told you the definition is central value added tax. Here the SENVAT, you can get a credit for this, and I told you that credit is called a set off. That set off is allowable for the excise duty or the additional duty. So that is being paid in case of customs, in case of manufacturing, it is central excise, and in case of any input of services, that is the customs duty paid in case it is for the import or export. So this is being paid in order to reduce or avoid the cascading effect, that is the tax on tax effect of the duty paid. Now the concept of cascading effect, that is duty on duty. You are paying 100 rupees, for that you are paying duty of 10 rupees, and that 10 rupees paid on 100 rupees, and when you manufacture, that 50 rupees added with the taxation, that is duty on duty. So when a raw material, it is passing on from stage 1 to stage 2. So from manufacturing at the stage of procurement, then manufacturing at the stage of final goods, we have stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. So each stage we pay the tax. So what is happening is, every stage when you pay a tax, all this tax is being added off. That will decide the price of the goods. So in order to reduce this effect, that is called as cascading effect, or you call it as duty on duty, we try to go for this SENVAT credit system. That is the reason why we have this credit system, SENVAT credit system. What happens is, when you go for this burdening of tax on tax, the cost of the goods becomes higher, and the burden of tax is ultimately on the consumer, one is consuming the particular goods. So in order to avoid such thing, we have what is called a SENVAT credit scheme. So here what we do is, we try to give a set of credit for the duty paid in case of input, or in case of capital goods, or in case of service tax. So this is only for the input which has been made use in the stage of manufacturing, and this does not form a part of cost of production. That is with respect to SENVAT. Now regarding the features, how it is helpful. First one is, as I told you, it tried to prevent the cascading effect. Then who are the persons who are eligible? That is manufacturer and even the service provider. So in case of the final product, or you call it as a taxable service, in case of a service provider, they can take a credit for the SENVAT paid. And this particular scheme is applicable to all the excisable goods manufactured or produced from eligible inputs. Now the main reason is, it tries to give a relief to the manufacturers Then there is no distinction between capital and revenue goods. Then regarding the registration, so there is no need for registration in the sense stipulation how you have to go for, but you have to have a concept called as first stage and second stage dealers. That is, I told you, manufacturing. So from one person to another person, that is stage 1 to stage 2 dealers, from manufacturing to the stage 2. Then for this you have to have a document, that is evidence of document, that is called as an invoice. That is very much mandatory in order to claim the SENVAT credit. Then regarding the credit, I told you it is allowed of duties paid on inputs, capital goods and taxes. So even the main thing is based on the invoice we produce, we can get a credit on the inputs, on the capital goods, procurement of capital goods, and with respect to taxes paid on procuring or using the inputs. Even it gives a credit among goods and services on the final products. Here it is covering the widening of the tax, that is widening coverage of inputs. So the credit can be given to the items which are there in the list, that is the tariff schedule list. So for that you can get a credit for that. Then it is an onus on manufacturer. So the administrativity of SENVAT credit is to be proved. So only when the manufacturer proves that he can claim for SENVAT credit. Otherwise wrong credit cannot be claimed. So these are the features. So 2002 it was introduced, and both for the capital goods and the inputs in the case of manufacturing. So this is what has been given, and it is a relief scheme for the manufacturer, and it is being designed in order to lessen the burden of the manufacturer with respect to reimbursing the duty he has paid on the inputs. And the most important is it prevents this cascading effect, that is duty on duty or tax on tax on the final products, and it covers capital goods and all the inputs. It covers all the final products except the matches matrix. And this, for the textile industry, SENVAT scheme is an optional. If they want, they can use it, and this scheme is applicable throughout India except Kashmir. So the basic credit mechanism with respect to SENVAT is, it is to avoid the cascading effect. Here I am just summing up. And it tries to minimize a tax incident on the ultimate customer, that is his tax burden has been reduced, and you are levying tax only on the value addition being made, and its main point is it eliminates the possibility of double taxation, and only based on the invoices, that is onus of the manufacturer, we go for a mutual trust in giving the credit. So here we have the rule. Capital goods means the references with respect to grinding wheels. So we have chapter wise. So when you refer to it, we can see what are the things. So it comes under the first schedule of the centralized six tariff, etc. Then regarding the equipments for pollution control, then accessories, molds, dies, jigs, fixtures, refractories and refractory materials, tubes, pipes, fittings, and then regarding the other features is it helps for the storage of credit inputs outside the factory. Then you have the possibility of transferring the credit. Then virtual check writing facility is being provided in case of special additional duties. Then special distinction for certain states and regions, this comes under the special categories. Then we have the time limit, and the rule 14 and 15 refers to the penal provision. So in case if you go for, there is no mutual trust or evading or trying to misappropriate, in that case you will go for this penalty sections. Then in case of credit proportionate, you have to have what is called as taxable turnover. So we have to find out what is the taxable turnover. Then inputs and capital goods and input services should not be, it's very important we have to note over here, should not be exclusively utilized in the manufacture provision of exempted goods. So we have already seen what is exempted goods or exempted services. Then regarding clearance to EOU, that is export oriented UDR, CES, STP special, all this will not require the reversal credit. Then the main advantages of CENVAT is it reduces the effects of taxation at multiple stage. So it provides for a duty-free exports. So CENVAT always tries to promote exports, free exports, and it always provides for the widening the tax base with respect to inputs. The disadvantages, we have to maintain lot of paperwork, that is invoice, all those things is much, and even there is a more chances for corruption. And regarding to, now we have lot of amendments has been made with respect to 2016. So with respect to job workers, so the credit, regarding the credit on jigs, fixtures, molds and dies, that to be introduced or intended to be used inside the premises with respect to job workers or any other manufacturing. So for that they can get a credit on the final products has been manufactured. So that includes spoons, forks, base material or the tools, for all these items are under that. Then regarding the second point with respect to amendment, it is also being provided that a manufacturer can send these jigs, fixtures, molds and dies directly to manufacturer or job worker without bringing to, so one case is when he brings to the premises, or second case is without bringing to the premises, and this is partly being allowed only with the permission of the assistant commissioner or deputy commissioner with respect to final products for sending inputs, and that inputs can be processed and sent outside the factory to a job worker. So when you are not able to do it inside your factory, then you can give for a other person to execute the work, that is called a job contract, or job worker does it, and you can get clearance from payment of duty, and which is valid for 3 financial. So I told you about MODVAT, that is a modified value added tax. Why it was introduced, so from that only we have got what is called as a CENVAT. The main reason why MODVAT was introduced to remove the defects. Then it was introduced in 1886 to 87. The merit of the scheme is the manufacturer got the full reimbursement of excise duty on the raw materials or components, but before this they were not allowed. So the system prevented payment of duties on yearly duties. Then regarding the defect of it, there were a lot of criticism over MODVAT. So the main is number of freights. So we had a lot of freights and there were a lot of confusions over there. So because of confusion, there were a lot of disputes which was arising whether to classify that particular thing into as a output or input. So there was no clarity over MODVAT rules. So that was the drawback or the defect. Then regarding value added, that is the difference between the purchased item, the amount of sales. So VAT covers the entire value of inputs, whereas MODVAT is only giving a credit for the duty paid on inputs. So this is with respect to difference between MODVAT and CENVAT. So MODVAT, it was introduced in 1986. So that having a separate provisions for capital goods. But here in CENVAT we have both capital goods and the input all services also. So in MODVAT we have a submission of declaration. In CENVAT, I told you no, there is no need for that, only backing of the invoices. Then MODVAT we had the register like RG23A and RG23C, and regarding CENVAT there is no need for registrations, but we maintain record of all the transactions in a register. We in MODVAT we have to have a separate waste and scrap book. MODVAT inputs were required to be sent for job work on payment of 10% of duty, but in CENVAT we do not need any registers for waste and scrap. There is no such provision with regarding to 10% of duty of payment in case of job work in SENVAT. And MODVAT can be availed only when you produce a duplicate copy of invoice. Here in SENVAT, only if you have a invoice, and that can be any copy, you can use it. And MODVAT provisions only paying documents, and it is valid only for 6 months. But in SENVAT, there is no restriction of time period. In MODVAT, credit can be given on capital goods, and that should be immediately taken. Here in case of SENVAT, it can be taken in 2 yearly installments, that is first year 50% and second year 50%. So total 100% can be divided into 2 installments. And MODVAT, we have to have installation of capital goods for availing credit. But in case of SENVAT, there is no such specification. Then regarding the rules, so rule 4, we talk about the conditions for allowing SENVAT credit. So this credit is payable in case of manufacturing element. So we have to have a concept called as manufacturing element, and these inputs which we have in manufacturing element are to be converted into final products, and we have to have a manufacturing process. It's very important. Then all finished goods which are being used are being eligible for SENVAT credit, and this SENVAT credit, I told you, first year 50% in case of acquisition of capital goods, and balance can be used in the subsequent years. But this is in case of small scale units, they are allowed to take full credit in the particular one installment itself, because it's a very small scale industries or units. And this credit can be taken for capital goods in case of spare parts only at the unit where the capital goods are used. It's very, very important that a point has to be noted out. Then regarding credit for specified duties, that is SENVAT credit is allowed for specific duties which is being paid on inputs or capital goods, and the condition is SENVAT credit will not be allowed on that part of value of capital goods that represents depreciation. So it is not applicable with respect to depreciation, and it is allowed even if the input or capital goods are sent to the place of job worker, I told you. So in case of job worker also, if you go for any further processing with respect to testing of it or repairing or reconditioning, then such goods must have been received back. So the time limit when you send for a job work and getting back it with your particular premises is, the time limit is 180 days. Then SENVAT credit can be available to dutiable goods with respect to free trade zones, or even in case of 100% export oriented units. Then conditions for allowing SENVAT credit. So no SENVAT on part of value of credit which represents amount of duty regarding to depreciation, already I told you 4. Then jigs, fixtures, molds are sent by the manufacturer to can be job worker, for that we can get a credit. Regarding inputs, regarding which is being processed or sent back to a job worker, in case of further manufacturing with respect to testing all those events, manufacturing, so that can be get back to the particular premises within 180 days, and it is used only for the, if it is not getting back within 180 days, then you cannot claim that SENVAT credit. And regarding the last point, no SENVAT credit to be availed if the particular capital goods is exclusively used for, here CG refers to capital goods. So capital goods is exclusively used for the purpose of manufacturing of exempted goods. So that is with respect to 100% free trade zone or export oriented or special economic zone. That's what I told you. So 50% can be used in the particular year, and that balance 50% can be used in the next financial year. Then regarding the credit allowed to the manufacturer, even in case of leasing the item or hire purchasing or for the loan agreement, even that amount has to be included. Then rule 663A, this is for the option for proportional reversal. So in case of SENVAT attributable to exempted goods, with respect to exempted we are going for this exempted goods, that cannot be determined because we don't know how much is the duty amount to be paid, that is dutiable goods manufactured or taxable services that is given in the preceding year. So the reversal exercise to be done at the end of the financial year and not on the monthly basis. Only at the end of the year we can decide and find out the amount of dutiable goods. Then regarding the NBFCs, that is non-banking financial companies, which are providing services by extending deposits or loans or advances to pay an amount equal to 50% of CENVAT credit availed on inputs or services, even that has to be taken for every month. Then regarding Rule 6.3d, it provides in cases where any abatement in respect of taxable services granted with the condition for non-availment of CENVAT credit, the amount of payment and shall be deemed to be CENVAT credit, and that is not to be taken for the purpose of exemption limit. So it should not be taken for the exemption education. Now the conditions is first I told you it should be a input. Then regarding capital goods, it is 50% and 50% the next years, and even includes the lease amount, hire purchase amount or the loan agreement amount from the financial company, or it can be even NBFCs. Then CENVAT credit is not available in case of depreciation because it's not allowable under section 32 of the Income Tax Act. And job work, within 180 days we have to get back the goods, and that when it is being directly removed from job workers premises with the help of the So in case if you go for availing this set of credit, we have to have a manufacturing element. All finished goods are eligible for CENVAT credit, and in case of specific duties that which we'll be seeing in the further slides, then utilization of inputs and CENVAT credit available being to be duty. So the duties which are eligible for CENVAT credit is basic excise duty, then special excise duty, countervailing duty. Then regarding the additional excise duty, which is only for the textile products, and any additional duty which is being paid on goods of special importance, then national calamity contingent duty, educational cess on excise duty, and countervailing duty on